Hey everybody, Asher here, and welcome to Kerbal Space Program 2 Challenge Mode Edition here. If you don't know what my face looks like, here we are. It's gotten a lot older and grayer since Kerbal Space Program 1 was released, and I did videos on the channel here. So it's exciting to be back, but this is the release week challenge, which is just flying to the moon, which is something we've already done on this channel. Technically, we crashed Jeb into the moon. We also visited Lathe, which is why we're at year 9 instead of year 0. But we are going to the moon today. The challenge is very simple. Fly to the moon. You can technically strand somebody on the moon and send a rescue mission, but instead I'm going to follow through with the challenge to try to visit the most interesting place that you can find. Now, there are a lot of interesting sort of features on the moon, but the part that has always most fascinated me is if we look at the characteristics here for the moon, you see there's a 0% axial tilt, which means I really want to go to the North Pole and kind of land there. So that's going to be a slightly different landing than maybe you normally see. Stuff can get weird at the poles, not just with the visuals, but also... oh, wow. Oh, that's out of my throat. Not just with the visuals, but also maybe even with the light and graphics tearing and anything like that. So that's what we're going to do. So some rules apply here as we are going to be flying off to the vehicle assembly building. For these challenge modes, I'm not going to be saving and reloading. If I fail, I fail. If I succeed, I succeed. That's great. And, you know, it's a moon mission, so I should be able to do this, but you never know. Sometimes things could go astray, as they tend to do here. So we're going to drop a cannon here to start with, and we're going to drop 2 Kerbals in here. We have Bill. We can do Radon Kerman as well, because that seems like a good idea. Bill was doing some testing for some rovers that I was trying to build for the next sort of main series Kerbal Space Program fun video I'm doing, but it turns out that testing things on the landing strip is an adventure in of itself, so we're not going to be trying to do that today. We will try to go from like Launchpad 3 just to be different here. So for flying to the moon, very good to go ahead and get our trip planner up here, just so we know this is going to be a round trip. Moon has no atmosphere, so we can't do any of those aero capture shenanigans we did last time, which means we kind of do need to pay attention to this Delta V rule. So we're gonna try our best. Can I move this window over? Yes, I can. Oh, the features. There are so many complaints about this game, and those are not unjustified. But at the same time, it is worth knowing that just some of these quality of life features, like being able to move a window in here, is fine. And this is not what we want for our fuel tanks. Just give me regular fuel tanks. Methane tanks will not work. Out here, we don't want a large one. We just want a medium tube. Can I get a squatter medium tube? The reason for this is that this is going to be our lander. And I would kind of like the lander can to not necessarily be anything really, like, too dumb. And we're going to put... let's do 3. I like triangles. You're gonna find that out about my ship builds. If you do remember the old stuff that I used to do, I do just triangle crap all over the place. And that sounds really gross. So we're going to work on our phrasing here, but this is going to be kind of our next stage for the actual... ooh, not like that. The actual landing phase here. So we are already misaligned. That's awesome. So once we can get this in place, probably best to do it like this. We're going to block our window view. That's too bad. So one of the best engines, honestly, is the Terrier, and that's going to be our escape engine, as it were. But I'm also going to put some lander legs on here, and I think it may be better if I put them on the edge here like this. That should be fine. As long as we add more struts, which there's always a question of struts. Nope, not like that. Just regular strut. As long as we can attach things like this, it should be fine. We also are going to need a fuel line to make sure... oh. What's the word for it? Line. There we go. Fuel line. Oh, did I misspell fuel? Maybe. Okay, but I'm curious about how this works, because I have ran into bugs a few times where the fuel gets pulled from different stages and things don't work very well. So hopefully that's not going to be the case here. But if we go ahead and do kind of, if we look at this like this, if we're going to be doing a return mission, we probably want to have a parachute or something on top, because this is going to be a fly and return. So let's not just strand somebody on the moon. I need to have my parameters like out loud before I start talking and before I start recording, but I'm just trying to fit this in a work day, and I'm just like, well, we're just gonna do this how we do it. Only need one. There's a hotkey to do just one. That's not what we wanted. There we go. Maybe this time our ladder can actually work and reach the right thing here. And we want a communication device as well. We want some parachutes. Maybe we just put the parachutes on the side. That's probably okay. May as well do... Three is definitely overkill for a Kerbal return. But we have no heat to worry about, so it's fine. Maybe that means I don't put... Oof. Did we lose a parachute kind of behind the hole here? We'll just do 2, because that's ugly if we do it the other way. It's kind of ugly. It's kind of ugly here too. We'll change the look of the ship. I didn't do too much with the color palette before. We also are going to need some solar panels. Not a solar array. Alright. But yeah, whereas before I was like editing the crap out of everything here, there'll be some small editing here, but I really just want you all to be able to see the process that this goes through, and part of the reason for that is because if shit goes wrong, I want you all to be able to see it. There's our smaller side solar panels. Could probably do this. And a stack of 3, kind of like this, just put them off to the side a little. Let's see what a 4-pack looks like, because if we do this, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have the decoupler here, and we're going to need our stabilizer. I think the fuel stuff is still going to block 2 of these, so that's not going to work. Okay. Always put the solar array up here. Hey, that's a ticket. All right. What's it going to look like if I extend it? Ooh, terrible, it turns out. Okay, so we don't need 4 of those. Just need the 1. And we'll point it this way because it's going to point towards the sun anyway. All right. So we have our battery. We do need our control here. We have our power generators. Solar power should be fine enough for that. As we get further on, that's going to be another issue here. So clamps, struts. We don't need adapters. We don't need steel beams. We will need a fairing in a minute, but I need to figure out exactly what I want to do with this first. So stabilizers. You know, technically, we could probably do it like this. Put the stabilizer on top. That seems like fun. I don't really know if it works for sure, but it does seem like fun. Which means if we have a communications antenna, then we can just stick it right here. See? It all works. So, is this going to be enough to get us to the moon by itself? Absolutely not. But what we do want for this stage, and unfortunately you can't break down like stages and where it goes here. This is what I'm expecting to need to actually get to the moon, adjust my orbit, get to a polar orbit, and land. So we'll be fine there. All right, now fairings. Here's the fun part about this, is that I'm actually going to put a fairing not just around this stage. I'm going to put a fairing around my journey. Wow, great part about recording this and not planning on editing it is that we get all the coughs. All right, hopefully fuel doesn't pass through this. It's not supposed to. It's not supposed to, but sometimes the early access bugs happen and fuel crossfeed happens anyway, and that would be disastrous for this run. So, quick thing. Just so I don't cough myself to oblivion. Alright. Now we can probably put some bigger fuel tanks here. I don't know if I want to go that big, though. I mean, we're just literally trying to get to the moon. We don't have to go... Ooh, gross. We don't have to go crazy, do we? Like, if I put... A skipper's probably fine. Poodle may be better. Is that going to get us on our transfer stage? I think I probably need a larger tank. Okay, not like that. There we go. Sometimes you just have to fight the UI elements too. So let's do a large tank. That's going to add quite a bit of weight. But this should be able to get us most of the way there, and then we'll have to get some of the way back. Alright, that should be okay. So, fairings. Just had those. Not a docking port. I haven't actually played with docking yet here. We have all these electrical generators. You know, and this is the fun part too, is that you all playing from home could be like, hey, wait a minute. You should know where this shit is, and I probably should. So here's a fairing, and we need to adjust it out a little bit and up. And we need to go a little bit further out and up and out. Really? That's as far as we go? Well, let's see. So don't know what that was about, but we should be able to close this off pretty well. Kind of like this, not like that. So we're going to need to go way up. And will you actually close is one of my key questions here. All right, let's call it a check mark, and there we go. Tiny little cones. So we got our big thing on the inside. This supposedly will split in half. I know I said I didn't want to, like, adjust it here, but I wouldn't mind. Can I test it? I guess we can always test and untest, as it were. Okay, let's do this one more time. So, all right. That looks like it'll work. No amount of muscle will open this muscle before it's ready. Ha, I get it. All right. Then last but not least, we need another decoupler here. And if we do a large decoupler down here, we should be able to get our big ol' can of flying into space. Which means we're going to go like this. I don't know if we're going to need two, but we do need a bigger engine to get us off the ground here. Rhino's good. Mammoth's good. I could be playing a lot more with some of these other things here, but yeah, we have ye old Rhino. Well, if we're just trying to get off the launch pad, probably want to go like this, which means we are going to need a second fuel tank. See, we start with something small. Add more struts is the old thing, but add more fuel tanks is really the big thing. You can see that we have a lot more Delta V now. So we're almost there. Maybe I don't need that big of a second one. Maybe we can do the medium here. Money's not an issue because this is not career mode, but yeah, that seems okay. And then if we do some more radial clamps, Let's do we do a 6-pack? That'd be hilarious. At this point, I'm just tempting the Kraken to come out and play anyway. So, and maybe that's for the best. The only time the Kraken's really eaten my ship so far is when I fly too close to Jewel. So all of our solid boosters are over here. We have even more Clydesdales. Fortunately, I haven't lost my ability to control myself yet. Yeah, that goes afoul with the fairing, so we can't have that. Down a little bit. I don't think we need 6. We're just doing 6 for fun. Still a fairing foul. And I think that's actually not even attached. Okay, let's try instead of these radial decouplers. Let's do the bigger ones. And let's just do 4. Oh, if we're just gonna do 4. Alright, all the way down here. Then all the way over here. That should be okay. Alright. Nose cones. Not like that. So do we not gain delta V from that? Or is it just not connected? It's a really solid question here. Okay. I'm gonna feel more comfortable with the bigger separators here. See, this is fun. You get to watch me be indecisive. All right. This should be okay, and then we put it on like that. I don't have enough delta V for a round trip, you say. Well, if I'm stranding somebody on the moon, then I guess that technically is part of the mission. Let's try taking this off real quick. Let's switch you back for a larger fuel tank. Clearly that is still calculating. So larger here, larger here. We have 8.5. Interesting. I'm just going to do some science real quick. Because I do think we have enough delta V, even if the game believes otherwise. Let's see here. I think the game's just confused. I think we've got enough. Famous, very famous last words. But you can see it's not updating right now. It only updates some of the time. I feel like 6 is the play. Just because I want to see how terrible I can make performance things happen. Alright, so that means that we need... I hope I put parachutes on there. Otherwise, we will be having a rescue mission. Check that in a second. Strut time. 1 strut. 2 strut. 3 strut. And then last but not least, 4 struts. Alright, like I said, the rules are pretty simple. I need to be able to do this without saving and reloading, but I will add that once again, this is early access. One of the big reports I've seen for a lot of people is that there are all kinds of bugs with stuff, so we definitely do not want that on the same stage. Good lord. Game. Gotta keep it separated. Alright, so here's our transfer engine. Our launch vessel is actually doing worse now. Huh, fascinating. Like, I don't know how we're going to gain Delta V by putting this down there. It's like, you know, we actually have to fly the damn thing. Huh. I think the game's math's wrong. And you know what? If I'm wrong, then that's the case. So, first off, we do not want to decouple the solid boosters at the same time. That's more like it. That's closer to where we need to be. So, sometimes it is a staging problem. 3, 4. Fairing off. Fire the engine. And then we have this. I think we can do it. Especially because low curve in orbit, we don't need the 3,000 there. So I think we're overshooting this by a lot with 6. But we're going to be doing some science here. So, moon pole scraper. Technically, if I'm, like, putting my butt on stuff here, and, yeah, we'll just save it. Whatever. If I'm putting my butt on stuff and we're trying to get to the North Pole, technically I should be going for the South Pole. But let's launch. And see if this collapses under its own weight at the very beginning here. So we have Bill, we have radon. Once we're in the air and pseudo bug free, we're not going to be reverting. So this either works or it doesn't. Alright, so there's our solid engines. Already getting a wash. Oh, it's actually starting the countdown right now. Okay! We can do it that way, I guess. So, fly me to the moon and let me play among the Kerbans, as it were. We've got this, maybe. I love that our Delta V is just kind of all over the place right now. I'm sure these calculations are just going to work. I thought we were going from Launchpad 3. I guess this is Launchpad 3 because Launchpad 1 is near Kerbal Space Center. I have turned myself around. I have no idea which direction I'm facing now, but look at Radon's sweet hair. I mean, Bill with the classic Kerbal cut. Here's the kind of grainy looking cloud cover. Thanks, AMD card. This, by the way, my OBS is currently saying I'm using 13% CPU. So if you're wondering if GPU or CPU matters more here, it's definitely GPU. I should have started Gravity Turn a long time ago, though. But it's okay. We don't want to go too crazy. We do have 6 Clydesdales. This is going to be a little more than necessary. And although the Clydesdales can gimbal, they do kind of have a mind of their own. So that's going to be a problem. But we are flying high, burning hot. I don't want to go to the map mode yet because I have bad things happen to me when I switch off the solid state boosters. And then I'm not looking at my nav ball. But we are getting up and out of the atmosphere in a hurry. So we are definitely on a ballistic trajectory right now. And it turns out that it is early access, so sometimes you do have to fiddle with staging. And look at that, we are... 6 Clydesdales was definitely overkill. So that's fun. Okay. It's about to be time for me to check and see the map here. What's our apoapsis at? That's a reasonable one. I didn't even have to open the map for that. Like, normally I try to get like 80 to 100,000, so 200,000 with this much solid fuel usage is not the worst here. So, stage. There we go. And I'm going to turn down our engine ever so slightly and stage to it just so we don't accidentally murder ourselves here. And you can see already we're having some issues with control because of the rocket that I chose. So that's exciting. Did I actually not put a reaction wheel on here? I thought I did. So if that's the case, there we go. We're eking it around. Maybe. Like, this is absolutely not the direction we're supposed to be going now. So we have one reaction wheel versus everything else. We are very, very slowly tilting this back the other way. We have 3 minutes to get this ship pointed in the right direction. And hopefully not have this whole fairing thing fuck up. So that's exciting. This is where maybe putting some RCS boosters on it would have helped a little. All right, so there we go. You can see the engine turning. It's trying its damnedest. All right, so I was gonna change the color of this and I didn't. So you'll get to see a sad gray spaceship, and that's okay. We're just above the ground. And then I wonder if I can do the thing where I time warp while I'm turning, and then our momentum is kind of secured here. But I really, really, really want to make sure that when we do something, and I am going to quick save here because this is a bug I've run into. If I quick save and try to get onto the maneuver node here, see, we're losing it already. This is when you hear people talk about bugs. This is the kind of thing, just things that don't always work like you expect them to, but here we go. Now we're not getting thrust in a weird position here. And we can see our periaps decreasing. I love that the orbital info is out here on the front. Maybe it was the whole time and I just didn't know how to read the UI, but I can definitely read it now. So we can. So there's the moon. We could just burn straight to the moon right now because the moon's just popping over the horizon. But we're gonna do it normal because we're gonna get into orbit, and then we're gonna try to do a transfer, and then get into an orbit around the moon, and then get into a polar orbit around the moon, and then land on the pole. That's the idea. But if you're ever just doing this, like assuming career mode gets brought into the game in the not so distant future, fingers crossed. One of the missions actually early on was like fly and do a orbit around the moon or something. But one of the key aspects of that was that you didn't have some of these like normal navigation things, like being able to make maneuver nodes in the tracking station. So you had to kind of do it on your own. Also very curious if this fuel is actually pulling from other things. We're gonna find out in a little bit. Because there's a lot of delta V to be had here. I did pick a lot of fuel to make this work. But we are continuing to go up. We are going to just circularize our orbit, or mostly circularize it. So this is fine. And hopefully y'all can hear the soundtrack okay. I've been kind of messing with the volume. I noticed in my other video that it was much easier to hear after the settings reset in the game, and I was getting blasted in my ears with it because the volume came around. It's at like 50% right now, and then knocked down a little bit with OBS, which says I'm using 14 to 11% of my CPU. So definitely a GPU-bound game. Feels bad, man. You ask yourself, do you just want to buy literally a PlayStation 3, or no, wow, PlayStation 3? Yeah, that's the new system right now. A PlayStation 5 for the price of a graphics card. That's one of the arguments for console gaming, I guess. Let's just look at the map and see what our happy little line looks like here. We got some heavy shit. This is taking a lot to push, but we should have the delta V, assuming this is the correct stage and nothing's being crossfed here. We should be fine. We just need to get our orbital speed up. I'm not gonna mess too much with stuff. We are out in space, so that's you love to see it. I try to point my nose down just a little bit to get on the horizon. We are at a now 200-degree apoapsis because we should be probably flying prograde at this point. So let's see if we can do that. If the game will allow it, and it does. Could even be flying a little bit below the prograde here. As you can see, our orbit's going to get a little weird and a little elliptical, but that's 10s to 50s of delta V that we'll lose because of that. So I think I'll go with like a 200, 100, and If it's weird, it's weird. We'll just make it work. But the important thing is that once we hit the 80 here, so, actually the 70, we're in orbit. Hooray. Now, once again, I may not need to make another lap. I probably can just burn from right here. Yeah, I can just actually burn from right here and get to the moon. I'm pretty certain. Moon encounter, get. Please. All right. We just burned prograde, right? Right. Now, it's not the prettiest moon encounter in the world. But we start the burn now, so let's just keep on burning. And we don't necessarily even need this, but this stage will actually get us... The stage will get us there. Once again, if you see the moon coming over the horizon, you can just burn to it. Nothing too crazy about it. We can just use the energy that we have from our elliptical burn and just say, screw it. We're just going to go to the moon. I love that the maneuver node is now freaking out and saying, hey, you're going to leave the system. That's a little buggy. But if we do this, let's just trash the node. We don't need it. I don't need that stress. We just need to watch this. So welcome to Kerbal map program, where we watch the tracking station view and we have all this GPU bound graphics, high fidelity stuff just to watch a blue line extend. Now granted, it probably would have been better if I had burned from over here, but I didn't want to do a full other lap. We're just going to let this go, and the game will tell us when we get into the moon's sphere of influence. And since I'm not saving and reloading all the time, you won't get to see me have to fight navigating into the sphere of influence every time. There we go. So, hey! Crash course into the moon. That is definitely a start. If we go a little bit further, it doesn't matter so much which way we get to the moon here. I don't particularly like that high of a periapsis to start with, but if we look at this encounter here, it should be okay. We definitely have the fuel for it, so it should be okay. We have a whole other stage. We're going to be in the situation again where I have more fuel than I can really land with. So let's just play with it. Let's get up here. Time accelerate. Hopefully not miss the moon. Hopefully not miss the moon. We're going to slow down as we go up here, because we are actually going outside of the moon's orbit a little bit. I could use my maneuver nodes to adjust this, but since we're going to be doing a polar orbit anyway, I personally don't care whether I'm going in prograde or retrograde for the moon. In other words, if I'm going in with its rotation or outside of its rotation. But we've actually canceled out almost as much of our orbital speed with Kerbal as we can here, so that's not a terrible way to approach. But it does look like we are going to be going in retrograde, so that's fine. Let's get our moon encounter now. All right, and we're going to slow this shit down. Hey, look, it said pause and unpause only one time. I'm not panicking about Tylo. There's our moon. All right, so this looks awfully familiar. So let's go ahead and let's see how much energy this burn is going to take. Because once again, what we're going to do, we're going to make a polar burn. So this isn't going to take a lot of energy, which is fine. So let's go ahead and tilt the ship to retrograde, because that's where we're going to need to go. And it's going to take some time to do that. We're going to go up here, and then once we have our moon encounter, we're going to flip our orbit over. I forget which button does that. I forget what these buttons are called too, but we're gonna make it work. Like I said, I just want to land on the North Pole, visit Mun Santa that maybe has cheese, I guess. Okay, so we're almost there. Let's go ahead and ditch this node. I guess I'm just using it more for instructional purposes. And here we are. We're flying on the dark side of the moon. And, cool. So retrograde one more time. And we just want a good, Okay, this is going to be one of the issues. We're not going super slow around the moon, but we're not going like we are kind of getting to where the ship needs to get turned around, kids. Okay, there's the sun with the lens flare. It's been explained to me by Scott Manley, of all people, that lens flare does exist in space too, and that's why Kerbal looks yellow. Here it's the lens flare, not the sun itself, but you fly towards the sun in this game, and it is awfully orange. Anyway, retrograde burn activated. And we don't need no maneuver nodes. This should work out fairly well. We're going to try to get a decent apoapsis here of something. Bloop. Orbit. Let's do it like... That's fine. Technically, the further out we can go, and we're not on a time limit here, other than like my own personal time, but we're not on a mission time limit here. The further out we go, the more efficient twisting this orbit around will go. So if we create a maneuver plan here, and we want to change to a polar orbit, let's see. There's all these buttons that all do these different things. So I have to slow down a bit, calm the game down a little bit. And yeah, that's a start. That puts us in a polar orbit, and then we're going to have to just make it shorter. I don't know if we're actually going to get to the 0, 0 coordinates, but I am going to keep this maneuver node on, and we are going to actually time warp to where we need to go, which is exciting because I can just do that with this button. Whoop. All right, so one more time. We got to twist around again. Look at Kerbal just sitting there, all beautiful high in the sky. There's the moon, all beautiful high in the sky. I am just something that's outside of any of the Lagrange points, just twisting around like an asshole. But the goal is not to go there. The goal is to land on top of here. But if you want to do a polar mission, or like make a polar communication satellite for Kerbin or something, this would be the way to do it. Same idea. You can actually do a polar launch, now that I think about it, and that would work pretty well. So once we get here, we are at T- something for the burn, but we're just going to start it now. And this looks like it's working, although we're chasing the maneuver node a little bit, and it looks like we're also crashing a little bit. So I should probably fix that. Or is that putting us on the North Pole right now? Because if it is, yeah. Remember the lesson, kids. Don't trust a maneuver node in Kerbal Space Program. All right, ditch it. Now we have a lot of Delta V left here, so let's see if we can BS this. If I can just go on top here, from right here, we just don't even have to get into another orbit. We can just do this right now. So let's pop up here on top. And we are definitely going to want to speed up a little bit. This is going to get annoying because this ship is... Okay, we don't want to lock this either. Let's turn on manual control. This is going to take some work. You know, maybe the game will be more cooperative if we go like this, because now we're not fighting it. Okay. So congratulations, we are aiming for the moon, and we have not canceled out any of our speed by going into orbit and using best practices. But we packed all this fuel here, and I'm only doing this just to see where does this put us on the globe. This does kind of put us where we want to go. Like, trying to just look high overhead. Okay, so that's a plus. Can we go prograde for a second? Because I think we want to go prograde just to try to push forward towards... We don't have to land exactly on 0, 0, 0. I'm pretty sure I already said that, but we do want to make sure that when we get closer to the moon, we can start canceling out our speed. This is not at all how I intended to do this. But this is, once again, a good illustration. Just because I'm having a good time with a Kerbal Space Program doesn't mean that I don't see the warts for what's going on as well. This is an early access game that was put on sale by the publisher for $50. And some fundamental things in the game like this are not working as well. And sure, maybe I could have waited 2 more minutes to do that burn, but... Let's see, is this what we want? This is kind of what we want. Does that put us on the North Pole? Okay, that puts us on the horizon. That puts us at the top. I think that's close enough. So this is exciting. I don't usually do this in Kerbal Space Program. I may actually burn ahead just a little bit, because I'd really like to land on the Terminator if I can. In other words, between daytime and nighttime. And that's one reason I put that extra fuel in those extra engines, is to make this work. But now the fun will start. And that fun includes, where's the moon? Here's the moon. And we're going to drop a little bit closer to the moon, and you're going to see that our speed goes up substantially. In 3 hours, Bill and Revdon, with his swimmingly swooshy hair, are going to have to figure this out. So... We're falling. We're falling. They're still sitting in a fairing. They can't see anything. I should have put cameras on the outside of the fairing. But yeah, we're flying closer. We're just crashing on top of the moon right now, and this is totally fine, right? Like I said, I know how to orbit things, but my impatience is getting the best of me right now. So that's a really pretty view of Kerbin. It's just always kind of stunning to me to think of, what does the Earth look like just floating out in space? We're so used to like seeing the moon floating out in space, but this is obviously a different thing here. So T-minus 1 hour. I will quick save here once again in case we get bugged out for something. But our orbital speed is moving. We just had a bunch of stuff load in. Weird, but it's fine. The Kraken may be saying, hey, hey. So I think this is fine. 1 hour out. F5 for quick save. We're still on the right path, I think. That's not like perfect, but it's close enough. North Pole. I want some Mun Presents. Show me the Mun Reindeer. We need to be pointing our butt at retrograde though, because our speed's going to go up a little bit. Also, if you hear any thunking in the background, that is not the soundtrack. It's construction outside, and it's too nice of a day to not have the windows open. So we're going to be doing a lot of burning here in just a minute. So down we go. Even though we're not going down, we're just flying. So the reason that I tried to overshoot the Terminator just a little bit is that we are going to lose some of this speed by nature of slowing down with our angle of approach. So like we got 30 minutes to go, 20 minutes to fix this. What's our status? Still on a crash course. Hi, Moon. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things to see at the moon, I'm sure, but we're just gonna hop on top, maybe. But yeah, we want to give ourselves a chance to get retrograde here, because we are gonna need it. Okay, one more time. With the sun, with the moon, with the stars, with the everything else. Here comes the drums for the dynamic soundtrack, which I think most people will agree is really well implemented. Alright. So, we're trying to land on the North Pole. We're going to F5 for bugs. And we're going to try to zoom in a little bit closer, because we're going to do a bit of a suicide burn here. Fortunately, with no atmosphere, we can kind of get as close as we want. Only problem is that if we're landing in mountains, that ground altimeter not necessarily going to be as helpful as some of the other things here. So, kind of a open question here. Like, you can really easily tell the North Pole of Kerbal by the whole ice sheet thing. We're just going to have to say this is the North Pole of the moon, I guess. And we can always just kind of fly out. But yeah, I have a shit ton of Delta V. I guess the question is, as we get closer to the surface, because we're getting close right now, something tells me that Periap's menu is kind of lying. Yeah, it might be time to start burning. Just to see what speed we need to cancel out. See if I need to ditch the rest of these fuel tanks. That seems like a solid plan. This is close enough. Or we're going to find out that I bugged out and used the entire fuel on the craft. Which doesn't appear to be the case, but you never really know. So auto ground. Okay. I don't think we can land very well with this like this, so let's go ahead and ditch this stage. Let's go ahead and open up the fairing. Hey, that was a little buggy. I was supposed to split in half. And, will you actually decouple? Yeah, that works, I guess. Oh. Well, you know, that's not what I meant to do. But I guess that's what we're doing. This is why we quick save. Because, yeah, that was supposed to be fuel that we needed for stuff here. And you can see already we've been using some of this fuel here. So let's go ahead and see if we don't accidentally decouple this. So, yeah, something tells me that this fuel got used. And I can't actually see the content of it right here. So that is an issue. We're definitely going to try to quick load and see if we can. Ooh. Game. Whoa. What is happening? So there's Kerbal, but there is okay. So I got distracted by the ground disappearing. So we're gonna quick save. Not quick save. Quick load. Alright. That was fascinating. Alright. So look at this. Kerbal in a totally different orientation and position now. I wonder if our maneuver is going to put us in a different spot entirely. Maybe, maybe not. You know what we do in this case then? We're just going to do some testing now. Let's cancel it out right here. to see if we burn everything down here, what ends up happening. I mean, did that engine just forget to fire? Because, like, right now, this does not put us on the pole. This just puts us on a straight down, which is exactly the idea. I want to go ahead and stage. So, stage, open up the fairing. I really don't know what's happening here, but... Is that fairing just blocking the engine? Oh, well, that would be a design defect if that's the case. Well, let's jettison the fairing. I should be able to burn it, right? Huh. Interesting. Okay, so apparently we need to put a decoupler there instead of just putting a fairing on the engine. Alright, well, that would be user error or something I don't necessarily know about, because you'd think ejecting the fairing would mean ejecting this part too. Huh. We're not even using fuel right now. Let's press spacebar and see what happens. Okay. Hello? Apparently that works somehow. So you know what? We're gonna bullshit this some more. Let's fly prograde for a second. Okay, maybe not prograde here. Let's actually fly. See if we can get towards the side here, because I do want to see if we can get to where we're going. So this is not the efficient place to put this, but we have plenty of extra delta V. Okay, that's not really doing anything. I mean, if we don't make it on the pole and we just land where we land, then that's just how it's going to be. This is kind of what we want. So let's go to the maneuver node here. Hey, that's what we got right now. Now it's going to make a very interesting, like, ballistic... It almost looks like a logarithmic bullshit, but that's fine. I guess my other question is that we're burning fuel, but we're getting no thrust. Even though we're getting the stuff out of here. This is funny. So this is just totally blocking it off. See, technically, if we did have heat reaction and stuff, I could burn this off with the engines. But this is not moving us, so we are going to have to probably just eject the stage. And that's a lot of delta V we're losing. So it's fascinating for me is that we definitely, but for some issues, had enough to make this work. Let's go ahead and trash this node. Because these engines should work, right? Okay. Let's see if we can land this sucker. See if we suddenly lose the ground. That'd be terrible. So you guys are stuck and would technically need to be rescued, which I guess technically is the other part of the moon mission. Let's go ahead and get this ready, steady. Let's go ahead and cancel out our speed here, get some explodies. Now, I'd love to, like, fly over there, but that surface is coming real fast, and our speed is not cutting like I need it to. So we're about 1,000 meters up from the ground. Okay. I know I said I wouldn't restart. I just want to try this one more time. And we're just going to get low, cancel out. And now that we know that either there's a design defect or something else, then we're going to do a suicide burn closer to where we're supposed to be at. So let's get closer to the ground, closer to the poles. And apparently we don't get the benefit of one massive stage. Okay. Okay, why are we not burning? It's actually cutting it pretty close. Maybe a little too close. Three, two, one. There we go. And let's get retrograde for a second. If we can. Anytime now. Oh boy. I just flipped my ship. Can we, like, align ourselves to the... point ourselves up, please? So we don't got a lot of room left. Anyway, North Pole looks weird. That's the idea. There we go. I don't know what our shadow's trying to do, but... and I'm officially having to do this by hand. So, can we just get the... Okay. May please just get you to slow the hell down. Alright. So let's cancel out our speed. That's step the first. Preferably extend our legs before we die. Need to learn the hotkey for that. Turn this on, turn this on. And I'd love to be on top of a mountain. Okay, so that we can actually see Kerbal here. So let's see if we can do that. See if we can get up. Up on this peak. If we're stuck here anyway, we're going to be stuck with the damn view, okay? Alright. Here we go. So it's fun. You know Kerbal Space Program enough, but at the same time, there be bugs and shit. So let's slow this down a little bit. Here we go. We still don't want to be in the shades, so let's try to nav ball this. I mean, what I probably could do is just land and skip. Lots of effort. Just to do something dumb. It's Kerbal Space Program. Okay, this should get us to the plateau, so. And I think we're safe for touchdown. There we go. I mean, we're stuck, but should be able to extend a solar panel here. Maybe. Except the solar panel's probably stuck under our stabilizer. Oh, I'm so good at this game. All right. Well, you know what? Since we're here, and EVA only causing a few problems. Let's get Bill down. Bill's going to run up the mountain. I'm pressing shift to make him run faster, like that's actually going to do anything. What we need to do is to remember the RCS controls. There we go. It's like riding a Kerbal bike. Just all comes back to you slowly. So there's our shadow. There's the sun. We're a little stuck, but that's easy enough to get a rescue mission back here. One where I fixed the parts and I had plenty of Delta V to get people back home. So, yeah. Made it, I guess. I mean, he's happy about it. Moon pole. Time for Mun Presents. Okay, so that's going to do it for Kerbal Space Program. Like I said, the question is always going to be, is it user error or is it just me? Why would we ever remove that flag? Okay. We still have our RCS controls, so that's exciting. All right. Can I actually take a screenshot here? Maybe? Maybe. All right. Well, let's go ahead, just for the sake of completion here. Mouse look on, mouse look off. Nice. Okay. If I look on the map here, I should be able to take control of the other thing here. Not destroy. We don't want to destroy Bill Kerman. Why would we do that, game? Why would we do that? Let's go to the tracking station. But yeah, like I said, weekly challenge. We have a lot of debris here that does need to be fixed. We can recover this at any time. Let's go ahead and control the crew here so we can get Revdon out. Revdon can just hop on down anytime he wants. But yeah, that'll do it for this one. This is Asher with Kerbal Space Program, and it is, or not Kerbal Space Program, but Kerbal Space Program 2. Very, very key difference. Because here there be some bugs, but here also some pretty views. So we can see where we launched right there. It's like, guys, we made it. We made it. Where's our spaceship? It's hiding in the shadows, but we made it. So that'll do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. Like I said, Kerbal Space Program, it is a game. Apparently it does not want to take a screenshot right now, so that's exciting. Just hit the print screen button because that's even more fun. But yeah, we'll do this again soon. Like I said, I have some other ideas for things I want to do with Kerbal Space Program. But for now, we're here, and that's enough. So thanks for watching. This took a little longer than I expected, but it's fine. I'll see y'all next time.